Hey guys, heading hope you're well. It's Alessio speaking to you today from Bruges in Belgium. A really beautiful and quaint city, by the way. Highly recommend it. Now in this video we're going to talk a little bit about the markets, the financial markets, and what the next potential developments could be, which are quite important. You may remember in a video that I posted some weeks ago, I said, look, the stock market, the S&P for example, has moved above a key level, a very important trend line going back as far as 2007, and we broke above that important resistance trend line back at the time. Thing is now, we've come back now below that trend line. So whereas only a few weeks ago we were above it, we've now moved below that trend line. In fact, we've moved below the 3,100 level where that trend line was. Now, is that important? Yes, it is important because it means we've broken above a resistance level, the trend line, and now we're back below it, which could suggest a false breakout, often a potential bearish signal, a bearish indication. Now, I do want to mention this, that in order for us to develop a high probability of a top in the markets for the next few months or potentially for the next year, we need to remain below that trend line and below the highs we made just recently, which was just near 3,155. So as long as the stock market can remain below that high we made near 3,155 and below the trend line, there's a probability we may be forming some kind of medium-term top. Now here's the bottom line. The stock market has not closed below the 21 daily moving average. And anytime the price closes below the 21 daily moving average, that suggests a temporary reversal in trend. Now, that means, therefore, since we've not closed below the 21 daily moving average, it's likely we might have a reversion to the mean, probably a reversion back to the 21 daily moving average to retest it and then potentially move further lower. So at the moment, because we've closed below the 21 daily moving average, it has a slight bearish bias. So what is quite likely at the moment is we might see some kind of retracement, some kind of pullback to the 21 daily moving average, maybe the 8 and 21 daily moving averages, at least one of those key averages, before we continue the next slide lower. So what I'm really looking for is I'm looking for further follow through lower below some key support levels in order for us to show that we could see further downside in the weeks and months ahead. Now my outlook for 2020, the next year, is still rather bearish, provided we remain below the highs we struck near 3,155. The reason why my outlook is bearish for 2020, at least towards the election of November 2020, the US elections, is because there's so many uncertainties between now and next November, so many political uncertainties, so many economic uncertainties between now and next November, that I think on the balance of probabilities, a correction or a drop or sideways action is probably far more probable than a bullish move further higher. Now I say this with some caution. I say with some caution because the momentum has been very strong in the higher time frames, but nonetheless, as long as the S&P and the Dow remain below their November highs on the S&P 3,155, the probabilities seem to suggest that we could see further downside or a correction in this market. But I want to make sure I mention this, that if the stock market in the days and weeks ahead, if it continues to push further higher and go above 3,155, if it goes above its November highs and closes above the trend line and closes above the November highs, I will have to change my mind and become very bullish, because if we go back again and close above the November highs, again near 3,155 on the S&P, that suggests a very bullish move that could mean multi-month rally, a multi-month rally towards 3,500, again 3,400, 3,500 in the long term. Now I should say I still think that's rather unlikely, less probable, but nonetheless this market is rather irrational. Markets can be extremely irrational and do crazy things. So I just want to make sure I mention that. So above that level, above the November highs, I will have to change my mind. Below that level, which I think is much more likely, then we could see further downside here in the stock market. Anyway guys, this could be quite interesting. I'm looking forward to see what's going to happen here on the stock markets. Thanks very much indeed guys. I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video, and I'll leave you some great images of Belgium.